Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video of Just Another Guy on the Internet. Today I am making my official Outlast and Outlast Whistleblower timeline. This is how I believe the events at Mount Massive Asylum transpired. And this will probably be my final video on it, hopefully. And keep in mind the times are approximate. So at 1:30 p.m., Waylon Park sends an email to Miles Upshur, who almost immediately sets out for Mount Massive Asylum. He gets on a flight from Washington, D.C. to Colorado. This is the earliest event that occurs in the Outlast timeline. We don't know what happens before this. Waylon might have been at lunch, who knows, but yeah, Waylon is a software engineer working for 2 weeks by this point, so since early September, with his 2 kids and wife in Leadville. And Miles is in Washington, D.C., pretty much on the other side of the country, and he gets that email pretty much right away, and he decides to head out. So at 1:45 p.m., after Waylon goes to the morphogenic engine area to assist in fixing the cameras for test subject Eddie Gluskin, Waylon is discovered by his supervisor, Jeremy Blair, and is knocked out by security guards. He is taken from the underground lab to the hospital to be processed as a patient. Pretty self-explanatory. So after he is knocked out, he's probably they probably go up the elevator that's in the underground lab up to the admin block, and then from the admin block they cross that hallway that connects it with the prison block, and then they probably go out through the second entrance near the recreation area, and cross the actual recreation area to the hospital, since that's the only way to get to the hospital. So at 3:45 p.m., Waylon wakes up in the hospital, ready to begin the morphogenic program process. At about the same time, Billy Hope, who is the test subject placed into the engine after Gluskin, makes a lateral ascension and now has control of the Walrider. In the chaos, the patients break containment and roam the asylum. Some kill Murkoff's staff, and the Mount Massive slaughter officially begins. According to the 2 scientists' dialogue, Billy has made a lateral ascension and now has control of the Walrider. It's not known how the patients break out exactly. I doubt it's something to do with the Walrider itself, since the Walrider also goes after patients. So it's probably something to do with, oh shit, the Walrider is out, the staff is panicking and the patients break out in the chaos. This is the official beginning of the Mount Massive slaughter, or the incident, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, so at 4 p.m. to 5:30 p.m., Waylon escapes his cell and navigates the 2 floors of the hospital section of the asylum. He runs into the Walrider twice and encounters a cannibal by the name of Frank Monero several times. At one point, he barely manages to escape Monero when he shoves Waylon into a crematorium oven. Up to 50% to 75% of Murkoff's staff are killed in this time frame. Waylon isn't in the chair for long when he's released from his bindings and eventually his cell. Though the same can't be said for the patients beside him. This is the earliest and only appearance of Frank. He probably stays in the hospital until morning when he's killed by the tactical team that arrives. These are the first few critical hours of survival, because about 50 to 75% of staff are killed, which is a high number, and a bunch of patients are also killed as well. Either by the Walrider or staff. Waylon also hears from the 2 employees that there's a radio in the prison, so he's gonna go to the prison to try to contact 911, since right now that's his only chance of survival. So at 5:30 p.m. to 5:45 p.m., Waylon escapes the hospital via an exterior staircase and enters the recreation area, a prison yard for the prison block. He encounters the twins, which is the earliest sighting of them in the story. It is still light out, but there is fog. It's about late afternoon right now. It's cloudy, and it's showing signs of rain. Again, this is the earliest appearance of the twins. They possibly stayed in the prison block or the male ward. At 5:45 p.m. to 6 p.m., Waylon makes it to the prison block. Before he uses the shortwave radio to contact 911, Jeremy Blair ambushes him and destroys the radio. Chris Walker is seen twice here and is the earliest appearance in the story. It can be assumed Chris Walker was imprisoned in the prison block due to his large size and need for restraints. Father Martin is also seen painting down the drain for his followers of a group of patients. Alright, so after a couple of hours, Waylon finally reaches the radio in the prison, but Jeremy Blair destroys it. So we don't know where Jeremy Blair was between when we saw him down in the ground lab to right now. So, but yeah, Chris was most likely here because of his large size and need for restraints. And also, Father Martin has also started his assembly of followers. And he's painting all of the blood signs to direct them to when he will become one with the Walrider. And also, Waylon does go through the same area that Miles will go through a couple hours from now. There's also an announcement that will lead Waylon to the administration block. Alright, so at 6 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., Waylon navigates the drying ground, the main electrical area of the asylum. The fog is gone, but it is getting dark. Waylon catches a glimpse of Eddie Gluskin through the main doors of the vocational block chasing a patient. By this point, the chaos has calmed down, but the asylum is very much still dangerous. Up to 95% of Murkoff's staff and about 50% of patients are dead. So yeah, it is getting dark, and it's easier to see the clouds of the upcoming thunderstorm, which will start in a few hours. So this is the earliest sighting of Eddie Gluskin outside of the sub-basement, which is pretty far from the underground lab. But yeah. So at 6:30 p.m. to 7 p.m., Waylon tries to jump onto the roof of the vocational block via the water tower in the drying ground. He miscalculates his jump and crashes through the roof, ending up in the top attic floor of the vocational block. He encounters Dennis, but evades him and his multiple personalities by stairs leading down to the 3rd floor. Not too long after, Waylon meets Eddie Gluskin, who immediately begins pursuing him. Waylon jumps down the elevator shaft in an effort to escape, but the ladder breaks, and he is left with an injured leg. So yeah, Waylon is planning to cross the roof of the vocational block in the male ward to make it to the roof of the admin block, where he would climb down and escape, but he messes up, and he crashes through the 4th floor, or the attic space of the vocational block. Dennis is up here, and so is Eddie Gluskin, who up to this point was chasing a patient, probably the same patient that we saw earlier in the drying ground. But yeah, Eddie starts chasing Waylon now, and when Waylon jumps down the elevator and tries to escape, he breaks his ankle and has to pull a splinter out. So at 7 p.m., Waylon is kidnapped by Eddie and brought to his workshop, where Waylon will fade in and out of consciousness for the next 12 hours, occasionally witnessing some of Eddie's victims brutally murdered. So yeah, this is the beginning of the 12 hours that Waylon is in the locker for, and up to this point, everything is a prequel to the to Outlast, well, except for the event right after this. So at about 7:30 p.m., there's no real good method of telling when exactly they arrived, but at about this point, a Murkoff tactical team unit arrives at Massive Asylum to control the incident, but they are all killed by the Walrider. So yeah, probably from the attempted 911 call that Waylon made a couple hours prior. So it took them a couple hours to get here. The evidence is with the vans outside the admin block, and also, of course, the footage shown by Martin to Miles a couple hours later. And they are all killed by the Walrider in the lab lobby, and also some of them, at least Stevenson, killed by Chris Walker. At 8 p.m., Miles Upshur has rented a Jeep Wrangler and has finally arrived at Massive Asylum just as the sun sets. So yeah, Miles is finally here after about 6.5 hours since the email being sent, and the sun is setting, and the thunderstorm is about to start. Okay, so at 8 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., Miles enters the administration block via a broken window and quickly discovers that most of the staff and patient population is dead. Miles sees Stevenson, the last tactical unit officer, dying, who tells Miles to get out of there. Miles encounters Chris Walker for the first time, who knocks him out by shoving him through a window in the lobby. As he is waking up, he meets Father Martin for the first time, who quickly makes Miles his apostle. Miles attempts to unlock the main doors from the security room, but is ambushed by Father Martin and sedated. Father Martin takes Miles to the prison block, either through the hallway leading directly there, or through a male ward. And that's possibly maybe how Martin finds out about Traeger. So yeah, everyone's pretty much dead, as the incident or slaughter has been going on for about 4 hours now. And Stevenson is the last soldier to die. He probably got killed by Chris Walker, but I don't know why he doesn't have his head ripped off. So, also take into account half an hour after being knocked out after thrown to the window, and an hour after being sedated. So from 10:30 p.m. to 11:45 p.m., Miles awakens in the cell in B block and navigates Father Martin's blood trails and signs through all 4 levels of the prison block. Chris has made his way back to the prison as well as the twins, who have made their way back into the prison from the recreation area. It has also begun raining as there is a thunderstorm outside. Miles also sees the Walrider for the first time, though only for a second. So yeah, Miles awakens in Martin's cell that he stayed in. And he has to navigate the blood trails, which have been laid out a few hours prior. And this is Chris's second time in the prison block. He probably made it back not long after Miles was carried to the prison block by Martin. And the twins has also returned too. So, and Miles also goes through the area that Waylon was in just a few hours prior. So now, during this point, it would now be September 18th. 11:45 p.m. to 12:30 a.m., Miles has made his way down to the sewers. The Walrider, Chris, and Father Martin are down here as well. So Miles navigates the sewers that are underneath the prison, courtyard, and mail ward. So yeah, and then Miles, of course, reaches the mail ward. He goes into the basement area, but then he goes down into another sewer tunnel, the tunnels that run underneath the mail ward. Okay, so at 12:30 a.m. to 3 a.m., Miles has reached the basement level of the mail ward after going through the lower junction and the cesspool area in the sewers. After Miles is chased by a group of variants to this level, he enters a dumbwaiter where he is captured by Rick Traeger, a former Murkoff employee. Miles is taken to the 3rd floor, where he has 2 fingers removed by Traeger but manages to escape when Traeger leaves the room for a moment. After crushing Traeger with the elevator, Miles makes his way to the ground floor where there is an exit. He does encounter Chris and Father Martin once again, who have found their way up here as well. So yeah, he goes through all floors of the mail ward, including the basement. He doesn't spend too much time on the 2nd floor, but yeah, here we have Traeger, the famous scene of the getting his fingers cut off. Traeger's killed at this time as well, and this is also where Miles encounters the pyromaniac, and he has to turn on the sprinkler system to turn off the fire in the kitchen by turning the 2 little valves while being chased by Chris Walker again. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the mail ward. From 3 a.m. to 3:45 a.m., Miles is in the courtyard, a large outdoor space at the center of the complex. The storm is still raging on at this point, but Miles does manage to find his way to the female ward, located across from the male ward on the other side, but not before running into Chris twice again and seeing the Walrider in full. So yeah, Miles has to find a key for the maintenance shed, and this is where he sees the Walrider in full, and not just glimpses. And Chris is also here as well. Then, at 3:45 a.m. to 5:15 a.m., Miles navigates the badly damaged ward to the female ward. Following Father Martin, Miles loses his camcorder at one point when trying to jump a gap in the floor. Chris is not seen here, however the Walrider is seen a couple times. Alright, so Miles again accesses all floors of the female ward, including the little small basement area. He has to collect some fuses for the key on the 2nd floor. Chris probably makes his way back to the admin block via a back door in the courtyard. And also the twins are seen in the female ward, which they probably crossed that small hallway connecting it with the prison block. And also, of course, Miles loses his camcorder at one point and has to backtrack a little bit to retrieve it. But once he's done with that, he makes his way to the admin block, which we have here, 5:15 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. Miles has made his way back to the admin block via the hallway connecting it in the female ward. Miles has to find a key to the main staircase leading to the 3rd floor in the recreation hall. Once Miles reaches the chapel, he witnesses the death of Father Martin, who is burned at the stakes so he can become one with the Walrider. Chris has also returned to the admin block. So yeah, Miles, after several hours, has finally made his way back, but so has Chris. And the death of Father Martin would be at about 6:15 to 6:30, which is important. So remember that time later, because we're going to go back to that. And yeah, so the last chase scene with Chris Walker also happens here as well. And the storm is still going on, but it's going to start dying down soon. Alright, now at 6:45 a.m. to 7:45 a.m., Miles uses the elevator, only to discover the elevator has taken him to the underground lab sub-basement. It is now morning as the sun is rising and the storm is over. Chris Walker is killed by the Walrider while chasing Miles. He also meets Dr. Rudolph Wernicke, who was thought to be dead and is responsible for the recreation of the morphogenic engine and the Walrider. Miles agrees to head deeper into the underground lab to kill Billy Hope. So yeah, the storm is now finally over after about 8 to 9 hours. He sees the dead soldiers that died in the lobby. Chris killed by a Walrider, probably after taking down the elevator, since the only other exit to the lab is with the road outside. And Dr. Wernicke was probably also down here the entire night. Alright, now let's go back to Waylon. At 7 a.m. to 7:40 a.m., Waylon has finally fully awakened to see himself on Gluskin's table. A variant knocks over Eddie, giving Waylon a chance to escape. Waylon makes his way to the ground floor of the vocational block and has to find a key to exit it. In the process, Eddie is killed after being impaled while trying to hang Waylon. So yeah, he sees himself awakening to the buzzsaw, which is definitely not a pretty sight to awaken to. But he does make it to the bottom floor, and Eddie is killed after his about 15-hour rampage of killing patients. So 7:40 a.m. to 7:50 a.m., Waylon passes through a male ward. Looking out a window, he sees the chapel is completely ablaze by now. He also sees Traeger's corpse and discovers a second tactical team has arrived at the asylum who have orders to shoot anything that moves. Alright, so Waylon is on the second floor of the male ward. He sees Traeger, who has been dead for about 5 hours now. A second tactical team has arrived at about 7:30, so really about 12 hours after the first one, probably because they haven't responded back. And yeah, so the chapel has been burning now for about a little bit over an hour. Let's go back to Miles. At 7:50 a.m., after Miles kills Billy Hope by disabling his life support, the Walrider finds Miles as a suitable host and fuses with his body. As Miles limps towards the exit, the tactical team guns him down, killing him. So after Miles disables the life support and the morphogenic engine itself, Billy is killed in the process, and the Walrider has fused with Miles' body. Miles is gunned down by the second tactical team that has just arrived, and they are all killed, and probably Dr. Wernicke as well. So, going back to Waylon, at 7:50 a.m. to 8 a.m., Waylon hears from the radio of the tactical team officers that the division in the sub-basement requires assistance as the Walrider has come back and is slaughtering the officers that gunned down Miles. Waylon finally reaches the admin block, but right before he goes through the wide-open front door, he is ambushed by Jeremy Blair and stabbed. Before Blair can finish Waylon off in another attempt, Blair is brutally killed by Miles' Walrider, who has reached the ground floor. So Waylon hears from the radio that they're being slaughtered, and the unit up in the male ward responds to their call and start moving to their sector. This gives Waylon a chance to escape. But of course, when Waylon does reach the lobby of the admin block and sees Blair still alive, and probably the only surviving staff member, Blair is killed by Miles' Walrider after Waylon is stabbed by Blair. So finally, from 8 a.m. to this just goes on to the end, really. Waylon escapes Mount Massive Asylum by taking Miles' Jeep, spotting Miles at the doorstep of the asylum. Severely injured, Waylon makes his way to a truck stop and abandons Miles' Jeep at Billy Hope's old hometown of Nathrop, Colorado. From there, he either buys a cash bus ticket or hitches a ride with a trucker. At about this time, Pauline Glick and Paul Marion arrive at Mount Massive Asylum to make sense of what happened. At a later point, Miles meets up with Simon Peacock, a whistleblowing associate, and uploads what he has recorded during the Mount Massive slaughter to show the world how demented Murkoff is, at the cost of his family and his safety. So, there you go. Waylon escapes Mount Massive Asylum. He takes the rental car. Everything from this point, except for the uploading footage part, is taken from the comics. So yeah, Waylon makes it to a truck stop and leaves Miles' Jeep. Murkoff mitigation officers Pauline Glick and Paul Marion do arrive, and they see Blair's body. Pauline mentions that everyone has died, being a 100% fatality rate, besides Waylon. So the twins and Manera are likely dead, as well as Wernicke. Or maybe some of the patients and twins and Manera escaped. Who knows? So Waylon does meet up with Simon Peacock and uploads the footage of what happened at Mount Massive Asylum. After this, Waylon burns down his house and he goes into hiding with his family. So that leaves us with Waylon, the total time spent in Asylum being approximately 18 hours and 30 minutes, and Miles being 11 hours and 50 minutes. So that's my calculation right there. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yeah, like I said, probably going to be the last video I do regarding timelines, unless I come across something. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, because there's probably something I missed or forgot to mention. So, or if I didn't explain something correctly, then you can ask more about that. So yeah, that's what I think happened. You don't have to agree, but I did make another video about this. Actually, I made a bunch of videos. I made about 3 of them at this point in total now. Or maybe 4, I forgot. But I do have all the evidence, mostly in the video I uploaded back in May. So, yeah, there you go. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Please do like, comment, and subscribe. It helps a lot. I will continue to make more Outlast videos, as I made this particular video for the anniversary of Outlast. So, thank you guys again for watching. Have a pleasant day. I will see you in the next one. So, bye for now.